Well, hello and welcome to A Walk in My Shoes. This is your host, Dan Vasquez, and I'm so thankful that you're joining us for another Wednesday and another episode as we look into the lives of the professionals here in our city. And today we have a very special guest, Ashleigh Lindsay-Behnke. And Ashleigh, thank you so much for being willing to come and joining us today.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Get to share a little bit.
How are you?
Doing great.
Yes.
Yeah, good things are going on right now, so doing really well. Thanks.
Well, we really are excited to have you here with us and to talk a little bit about your story and to talk about what you do. So I think that's a good place to start. Let's dive into it. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. So I am part of the Lindsay family. So we have some car dealerships here in town that people may be familiar with. And I am currently working now in an outward-facing role, primarily focusing on community engagement and how we can be a light and give back to the community. And I'm also married, my wonderful husband, Steve, and we have 4 boys. 16, 12, almost 10, and 4.
So 4 boys, no girls.
No girls.
And
Nope.
your husband is a medical doctor.
That's correct. Yes.
And he works in Mount Carmel East.
No, he is actually. So he's part of Med One, which is a hospitalist practice, and they have contracts at lots of area hospitals.
Okay.
Mostly, his largest group is at Riverside, and they're also in Zanesville and Genesis Hospital, some others.
Wow. So that I'm sure that keeps you busy.
Very.
4 boys.
Yep.
And a husband. But I'm sure because I come from a family that was 5 boys and a dad.
Yeah.
So my dad was like another boy. And so my mom, I feel sorry for her.
Yeah.
So I can sympathize with you.
Yes.
So this is great, the work that you're doing in the community. But that's not where you started.
That's not where I started.
You went to school.
I did.
And you started in something completely different.
I did.
Tell us a little about your background experience.
Sure. So when I was first going off to college, I wasn't sure what I was going to major in, and I went in actually undeclared because I thought, well, I don't really know. And then shortly before school started, I felt like I really wanted to be a teacher. One of my goals in life, I really wanted to be a mom. I knew that about myself. I had a wonderful mom, and I wanted to, just give back in the way that she gave to us. And so I knew that was one thing that I wanted. And I thought, well, being an educator would help me be a mom, and school schedules would be the same and things like that. And I really loved math, and so I became a math teacher. And I needed a second concentration. I was middle school. I love middle schoolers, and I also focused on Spanish. My Spanish is really terrible.
Oh,
so,
qué bien.
Yeah, no, me olvido mucho. So after teaching for a few years, I got tired of teaching to the test. So sorry, and felt like I had just a lot to give, and ended up transitioning out. We were living out of state, and we had a friend that was working in a car dealership, and she was a finance manager for them. And I went, well, I have a math degree, and I know the car business. So I ended up getting a job working at a totally unrelated family business, and they offered me a position in the sales floor at their Lexus store.
Wow.
At Lexus of Louisville. So that was really unexpected. And when we were living out of state, and I came home and told my dad what, we had dinner with them, and I think they, we'd been married for a couple of years, and I think they thought we were going to, announce that, I was having a baby or something. And I announced instead that I had taken a job at a Lexus dealership selling cars. I think my dad was actually more excited than if I had told him. I was having a baby, because it was the entry to bringing me back into the family business. So I worked there for a couple of years and loved it, loved being in the car business. And so we started to have some conversations about me moving back home, and God opened some doors for my husband to transition programs that were, it was advantageous for him as well. And so we moved back here in, I think it was 2001, something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Started working for Dad.
What a transition from teaching in school into the car business.
Yeah.
But you had a background in car business,
Yeah,
of course,
it's a little
because
bit.
of your dad. So
A little bit.
You knew
Been around
a
it.
little bit.
A little bit.
Wow, that's incredible. So you have, I just want to go back to this because I think this is just so incredible. 4 boys. How in the world do you? I've asked this question to Mom, and how in the world do you raise 4 boys?
Well, I think I'm equipped for it. I was raised with 2 brothers.
Okay.
And so a lot of the boy stuff just is like what I'm used to. It's really, I don't overreact. I have a lot of routines and systems and structure, and they flourish in that. Really, they flourish in that. And so we have a lot of fun, and I'm so blessed. I have some really amazing boys.
One of the things that you mentioned that I think is so important for young people is that you didn't know exactly what you wanted to do.
That's
you
right.
Weren't sure about what direction of career you wanted, but you were willing to try.
That's right.
And you tried 2 years of teaching, and that was not, you realized that's not what I want to do the rest of my life. And that's good for people to know, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't regret that either. Going through the process of learning how to learn and getting the education that I did, really, I am a good student. I learned how to learn a new area. So when I was learning how to be a teacher, teaching, my husband actually, my physician husband also has an education degree.
Wow.
And so he was certified to teach Spanish, French, and chemistry at the high school level.
Wow.
And then he went on to medical school. And he says that his education degree comes in handy often because there's the ability to communicate and the ability to break things down into these systems and processes and structure that really play out into any and also we both have liberal arts education, so there's a breadth there too. So there's a lot, so I learned how to learn. And so when I transitioned into an HR position, when I came up here to work for our company, it was not something I had formal training in, but it was something that was, there were a few rails down that I just jumped into, and then I just became a student again. Okay, what class do I need to, what conference do I need to go to? What group do I need to network with? What book should I read? Who can I turn to for mentoring? There were a lot of good resources that were available. I started signing up to get on lists, like whatever industry, they'll have those business networks. So I would start to get emails, and I would see like, oh wow, that class, that this attorney is offering on employment law. That sounds really helpful for me, and it's a half a day. Okay, I'm going to go to that half-day class and then come back and go, okay, now I know for the next 6 months I've got some things that I need to work on. So
I love what you said about learning to learn. And I think that's something that we all could learn from that. I think one of the greatest gifts that we have in life is the ability to learn. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're alive. We're alive to learn things and to gather stuff, not to live this world the same way we came in, right?
That's right. That's right. I mean, I'm a firm believer that we're created in the image of God and reflecting His creative side to be productive and to produce. And so yeah, I mean, for me to we say leaders are readers. And so, in our company, we have a Lindsay library that we keep stocked with books for any of our employees who want to develop and grow. Wow. And they can, come in and check out a book and read and learn. And that's something that we do personally. I am always reading something. It's not always fun reading. It's a lot of it's nonfiction in a field, in an area that I need to grow in. And, I start my day every day in the Word of God. That's the best manual to start from,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
building on top of that.
That's amazing. I had no idea that you guys offer a library there to help
It's
people.
a little library in the HR office, but yeah, there's a library there.
And I also know that in your background, you also worked in the HR department, human resources, and you did that for how long?
About 15 years on and off.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I do have a lot of questions about that because I think that's very helpful, especially for our program, for our young people, that we want to help them not only get a job, but to get the right job.
That's right.
And to do better in life, to expose them, to show them that this life, that they can really, there is no limit. And, you know, I'm not originally from America. I was born and raised in another nation. So coming to America, it was like a dream because you hear from other countries, this is the land of opportunity. And you have so much opportunity. And I think we want to bring that to the young people. But you in the HR department, you were the one that make the decisions, who got hired and who didn't. So can you tell us a little bit about that experience? What was it like?
You know, it's exciting to get to see potential. You know, I'm to be good in this field, you really have to be able to see the individual and maybe see past something that is, you know, the obvious, and kind of go, okay, I'm reading through this resume, and what I'm seeing right now it might be a little lighter in the area that we would like to see. So then, you know, okay, but there still is enough here that I'm interested in. You have a conversation, and then exploring potential. So, you know, sometimes that phone interview is make or break. You know, the resume is important, but I know that sometimes people are coming alongside and helping with resume writing. Yeah. So if the person that is being represented by the resume can't communicate as clearly, you know, what they're able to do that's been written down, then maybe it's not going to be the best fit for the open position that we might have.
You have experience reading resumes. Do you have any idea how many resumes you've read?
I don't. I don't know how many I've read. It's
in the hundreds, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not the thousands.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot.
So the phone interview really was more.
Was really helpful to see if we. So a lot of times, if I'm hiring for a position, let's say for a technician, so an entry level technician position, and I see that they've graduated from a program and that they're certified to some degree in, you know, maybe changing oil. And that could be a high school program, like one of our wonderful vocational schools. We love talking to those students. That's just for young people out there. That's a really smart avenue to explore different opportunities. If they're just looking at the high school level, man, it's a great way to get some good skills, just a base, you know, just as a start. So, so if I'm looking at a resume and then I talk to the person, and if I'm getting like grunts and one-word answers, and, you know you don't have to be customer facing when you're changing oil, but to still be able to communicate clearly with a supervisor and be willing to engage positively. Like we have a fun work environment, and you know, we create a nice atmosphere where there's camaraderie and partnership. It's not isolated, you know, and it's very open. You know, if you come into, you know, you can see back in the shop, you can see where the technicians are working. So we do have a high expectation of, you know, I guess even some personality. So if that doesn't come through, then maybe it's like, okay, well, you know, maybe this isn't the right person to put in front of the hiring manager. You know, I have to be thoughtful of their time and engagement. And if the person who's reading the resumes and having that phone interview, if that person is not screening out candidates, then you are wasting somebody's time.
Wow.
Because then when they have that conversation, they're going to be screening out the person, going, this is not the right candidate. So that phone interview is pretty critical.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And going back to, you were talking about the educational background, the ability to communicate, that is so important. And
soft skills are not something that you can learn from a book necessarily. I mean, sure, if somebody's driven and they can motivate themselves, but there's a lot of just natural engagement. And you can tell if somebody has been too inwardly focused, maybe a young person that is playing too much time on the video games and is not engaging with humans.
Right. Well, and especially today with COVID, and we're spending so much time at home in front of a computer, and now we have so much technology that the technology was made to make communication easier. But in reality, we're seeing that it's affecting our soft skills.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, I think there still is a lot of good that's taking place, like through Zoom. I have met for the first time lots of people through Zoom during this time that I could never have fathomed that I would be, video chatting with anybody like we are right now a year ago. And I feel real connection. So I think that there still is that engagement that's really positive, that somebody who isn't able to get out right now, if they have those opportunities to engage, if you're in a classroom and, you have an opportunity to set up, turn your screen on and actually engage with your teacher.
Yes.
Or if your teacher is offering you, hey, if you have any questions, I'm available these are my office hours. Sign in, check in with that person. If for nothing else, just to practice soft skills and engagement and while, and maybe just take a step back and go, man, that felt really awkward. Maybe I need to work on human interaction right now outside of my family that has, we're all just grunting at each other at this point, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm reminded of the phrase, your attitude determines your altitude. Yeah. So being able to communicate your attitude, especially when you're looking for a job, I think that's very good, right? So, and I mean, you've seen hundreds of people go through, through the business and everything like that. So that's very good. I think those are good tips. What are some of the soft skills, like if you can tell young people right now to work on, what are some of the soft skills that you see so needed today?
One thing that's lacking is eye contact.
Uh-huh.
It's just stunning.
Wow.
And part of it is just everybody is just so consumed with their phones.
Yeah.
That even when we are walking, in a room with someone, to just stop and put that away and to be present. And really just attentive and listening. But even as something as small as eye contact can really just go a long way.
Yeah.
And that is one of the sad things about the situation, with the distance learning being forced on, the younger kids, how much of that are they getting? If they don't have a dedicated adult who isn't, present with them right now, are they just connecting to a screen? That's something I'd love to talk about more.
That's amazing. But that's a great tip. And I mean, it's something little, something that is not really, I don't hear many people talking about it, but it's so important.
And it's such a small thing. And when you make that eye contact, then the next thing, your brain is engaging then differently as you're, what are they saying? And then what is the person that I'm talking to now communicating to me through their body language? And then how can that help feed into my response to what they're, if the interviewer, for example, if someone's going in for an interview and the interviewer is, having a conversation, but really over here reading email, like, so tell me about, okay, then this isn't going well.
Right.
So what do I need to do to sit up and, even just sitting up and changing body position and leaning in, like those small things that really indicate I'm engaged, I'm eager, I'm teachable. Teachability is another thing that is a soft skill. We all are going to receive feedback. None of us is perfect. And how we respond to that feedback can also make us or break us. So if we do, if the young person is fortunate enough to get the position, are they going to respond harshly to, input on how they can do better? Then that's not a person who's teachable. Somebody who's teachable is going to say, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to reflect. Maybe this feedback that I'm getting from my supervisor or my peers right now, maybe that is feedback that I need to, pay attention to. They're not always real black and white. I mean, if you're late, then the time card is going to say, you can't really argue with, you're right, I was late. That's another thing. Don't be late.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not 15 minutes early, then consider yourself late. Yeah. Build that into your mindset. And then when things come up, you've got that cushion.
Wow.
But if you can always plan to be 15 minutes early, even if it's 5 minutes early, if you always build that time in, that's another thing that just it leads to reliability. It leads to success. When you yourself are reliable, you feel that success. Then you feel like you can deliver on the other promises that you're making.
Yeah, you're building a reputation of responsibility. You're building a reputation. You're saying I'm dependable.
Yeah.
And that's just so amazing. I mean, this sounds so simple, but it's so important.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that you're talking about this right now. That's great. I mean, this can really be a game changer for somebody. So, just another question about HR. What were some like? Do you remember any stories, any success stories about hiring anybody and them staying with you guys for a while? Or
Oh yeah, we have several. I didn't hire this person, but we have, here's one. We have one who started with us in our detail department.
Okay.
It wasn't even his official detail department back then. It was called the wash bay. And he's now one of our shop foremen.
oh wow,
And so, that he was able to come in and we saw his work ethic and we just started to invest in him. That's something that we are willing to do with our new hires. We have tracks that we put people on, and we will help them grow in an entry-level technician position, for example, and they can go into a shop foreman, master technician, and get their certification while working for us, and we're helping to pay for that.
wow.
In our sales department, not everybody wants to go full commission. Maybe they don't see that. Our customers, here's an example. Our customers really like some of them dealing with a college-educated person. Somebody who's coming out of college maybe has student loans to pay off, and they're intimidated at the thought of going 100% commission. And so to put them into a program, we have a product specialist program, which is allowing them to have a salary. And there's a time commitment involved, and then we're teaching the process.
Wow.
About how to walk through this process. We have really streamlined, excellent ways to help somebody, our customers come in, feel like they have a good, positive experience. We don't have the reputation of, a typical car dealership because of these processes that we have. And then we can get somebody through the product specialist program until they are a fully commissioned salesperson. And by the time we have the safety net, by the time the safety net is taken away, they know they can fly.
Wow.
And they know that they can be successful and survive on that salary. And one guy who has worked for us for a number of years just stopped my dad, and I think he shared this with you as well. And he just bought a $500,000 house.
That's amazing.
And it's just like those are wonderful stories for us to know that he's providing excellent customer service. I mean, I have number of friends who are like, we love Curtis, and he's excellent at taking care of us when we come in, and that makes me so proud of him. And being able to, so shout out to Curtis for taking care of my friends. That makes us feel great that we know our customers are taken care of and our employees.
But I'm hearing this when you're talking about this. This is so important also, especially for someone starting at a low level position, that you have to be able to see that you can grow in a company, that you can grow in a business. You might not be getting the pay scale you wanted at the beginning, but there is opportunity to grow. So the ability to see, hey, I'm not going to get stuck here. I'm going to do what I can to grow into. So it's awesome.
And I love how you all are helping with that career track mindset. Like, we're going to get you here started, and then we're going to help you take to the next level. That's such an important thing. When somebody's looking for a job, don't just get a job. Don't just, it has to have potential. Even in, like some people want to say, like, oh, we don't want to do, or we want to knock, oh, they're just working at a fast food restaurant. I have a family member on my husband's side who is a manager of McDonald's, right? I'm like, she's managing a team. There's a lot of skill set there. That's a worthy career because she made it one. She didn't just, stay at an entry level position. She grew into the position. And there's a lot of value and dignity in that.
Well, and I think it's a difference between just a job and a career. I like to use another word, a calling. And I think that's with your story. Because you started in one thing and then you moved to the car sales department and then HR, and now you step into another role.
That's right.
And I'm so excited to hear about this. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I transitioned out of HR. I had all through the years, that I was working in HR, unofficially there would be, hey, we want you to also manage, some of the philanthropic responses that, requests that come in. And I didn't always have time. And I didn't, I would get to them and I didn't feel like I was doing it justice. And it wasn't necessarily my focus. And there was a lot to do in HR. And so it wasn't until more recently that we, where we're located, our businesses are thriving. Our company is just blessed. You heard, from my dad before about just how God has really blessed us.
Yeah.
But when we look around, our neighbors are not. And,
Wow.
we remember when this area was a cornfield. I'm not that old. And in my lifetime, I've seen this grow and blossom and be vibrant. And then I've seen it decline.
We're talking about the southeast of Columbus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here on the east side, we are having some challenges in our community. Buildings specifically around us. This building that we're in right now used to be a different, entity.
Business, yeah.
And now, I'm glad it was vacant because it brought you all to be our neighbors. And we're really grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Some of the other neighbors that are moving in, we're not as thrilled about. And they're not necessarily solid community building entities. And so when we are seeing that happening in these vacancies, we are trying to look outward. So about 1.5 years ago, I transitioned out of my role in HR and into this community engagement role where I'm really trying to wrap my arms around what does Lindsay, what impact is Lindsay willing to make here on the east side? We feel like we are blessed to be a blessing, and we want to be a beacon of light. If we're so busy over in our own little, building and our 4 walls, like, oh yeah, we're doing good for the people who come to us, and eventually that does trickle out to the neighbors. But are we really being deliberate about doing good for our neighbors? We would, when I was in HR, we occasionally would look at the unemployment or our neighbors here. So unemployment in our zip code 43232 is 11.5 to 12.5%. Central Ohio is 3.5 to 4.5%. It's a big difference. And so knowing that, we're like, okay, so that means we have open jobs and we have neighbors that need jobs. So let's try to hire those neighbors. So we would make preferential decisions about some of, the applicants that would come through. And one of the challenges that we would find is that they wouldn't have the skills. Again, why I'm really glad that you're here. Because we would, maybe lower our standard a little bit. Part of the reason we're doing so well is that we have such high standards, but maybe we would say, well, let's see if we can work with this person. And we would run into those challenges of not having the soft skills. One of the essential functions of your job is that you be here.
Just as simple as that.
So we're not mean for terminating your position because you're not able to be here and perform your job. And but then that would feel bad. We would feel like, okay, so this was a failure. What can we learn from this? We did a charity hire. And what we learned was that we are not a social service agency, and that if we're going to make exceptions, then we need to have a partner who can work with us on that. And so that was one thing that we kind of message, and so that's where workforce development became a priority for us. So when I first transitioned, we identified our pillars that we wanted to focus on, and workforce development was one of those pillars. So finding out who are the partners that are helping individuals overcome barriers that they may have, for whatever reason, and to be successful, to produce and to give back. And to take care of themselves, to get off of maybe an individual needed some help and assistance, but that's not to be a lifestyle. Let's help them get off of, assistance and to take care of themselves. There's so much dignity in that. There's so much dignity in that. So finding those partners that we could go to, so that if we have a challenge, we're not facing a termination. We're saying, hey, we need you to address this situation. So that's one of my passions
That's
now.
That's amazing. I want to go back and talk more about this because there is so much to talk about. Yeah. There is a lot of excitement about what's happening and what's coming to pass. But before we get there, I have a fun part of the interview that I want to get to, and I have some fun questions to ask you.
Great.
Okay, so number one, what is your favorite word?
Oh, My favorite word. That's a great question. I don't know that I thought of that one before. Can I just say I cry out to Jesus?
Okay, that's good.
I cry out to Jesus.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. What are you not very good at?
What am I not very good at? I'm not very good at consistent exercise.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that, including me, that can relate to you.
Yeah.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
My kids like to tell me my superpower is talking. I don't know if that's the one I would like to have, though. I'd like to be able to teleport. I get, like transitioning from point A to point B. I think that would be really cool.
Saving so much time, right?
That would save so
We
much
spend
time.
so much
I
time
could
traveling.
increase my capacity so much.
Okay, this is another fun question. If you were a type of food, what food would you be?
Oh, I love a chocolate chip cookie.
That's a good
It just
one.
makes you happy. Such a blend of all the lovely flavors.
That's nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
who doesn't love a
Awesome.
chocolate chip cookie?
If you could switch lives with someone for a day, who would you choose?
Oh, man. Switching lives with somebody for a day. There's a lot of great people that I admire. To walk in their shoes for a day. I know you let me to think about this. Because I'm not really great at exercise, I think somebody who is just really, that just really works for them. Somebody who's just really skilled with that their body just performs. And I can't think of any like
an Olympic
female
figure?
athlete that I've just like really like one in particular. But I think that would just be really amazing to have like my body do what I want it to do and to really perform at such a high level of excellence,
like
whatever
the
sport that would
Olympics,
be.
right?
Olympics, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
amazing. Like maybe an Olympic diver or something, swimmer.
Wow.
Runner.
Well, I wanna go back to one of the things that I asked, what are you not very good at? I know something that you're very good at because I've experienced this. You are very good at connecting people, and in the new area that you're working on, we are together working on something called T.U.R.N.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about this? What is T.U.R.N?
Yes.
What is your role there?
T.U.R.N is an acronym that stands for the Ultimate Resource Network. And so at the end of the summer, sometime in July, this group came together. My dad had a vision. He and my mom were together, and they were praying with some friends, and this word of prophecy came through that they were to help take back the territory over here. As we were talking about, things are changing and transforming, and not necessarily in a good direction. And so in response to that, my dad began making conversations with people and inviting people. So they invited people in nonprofits, people in the faith community who are interested in the East Side and connected in the East Side. Charlie Davis was instrumental in that. He's a pastor in the area that is connected with us as well. And he and Dad and others gathered this group together and formed this, Ultimate Resource Network. And initially it was a coming together of people who care about the East Side.
Wow.
And that was August 1st. And then from there, we interviewed and surveyed, this group who came in, and then others who have connected. What are the needs in the area, and what are your assets? What do you bring? Who do you represent? And how can we partner together? And that was the start of this network, the T.U.R.N. Group. And so as we've been coming together every 2 weeks since August 1st, we have been focusing on some different initiatives. The needs that came up were youth development. That was number one. Workforce development was number two for our area, for our community, how that would help. And biblical training and unity and cooperation in the body of Christ were the other two that came out of that initial gathering. And so we, after that, just started, like I said, every 2 weeks we're meeting and we're gathering, we're finding out who else is in this space. We now have over 100 people who've connected to us. And
that's incredible.
We've learned how to do a hybrid meeting where we've got people, we have we took over the Scarborough Mall. So we have this, 187,000 square feet building that includes 8 cinemas.
Wow.
So we have a 200-seat cinema that we're able to gather and socially distance and be responsible. You've been to some of those meetings.
Yes.
And so you know that we're being responsible. Well, we are able to meet in person.
Yes.
And then we also have added on a hybrid, through Zoom. So people are joining in who care about the East Side and making a change. We want to see the East Side turn away from darkness and to turn towards light. And we want to burn brightly. And we feel like doing that together in community. All of these groups, as I'm connecting with, when I found out about, the Columbus Literacy Council, I was so impressed. I didn't know when I met you. I'm like, what is it you guys do?
Yes.
And I came over to see what you were doing. Like, wow, this is amazing. The people that you are connecting with and the services that you're offering are life-changing, helping them. I didn't know, and you were neighbors with us. I didn't know what you're doing. So then I'm going to others that I'm connecting with. Do you know Dan from CLC Works? Because you need to, and making those connections so that we together in community can make a difference. We want to help the community. We don't want to be arrogant and feel like we are doing to the community. We want to be partnering with.
Yes.
That's really a part. So by including this number of people and just like welcoming, hey, you're interested? Come check us out. See what it's about. We are not shy and we are bold that we are a faith forward company or organization, that we are boldly going out in the name of Jesus. And that's not, doesn't mean that we aren't partnering with groups that are not, but that's who we are. And that's our passion. And we love organizations that are, doing good and helping serve our neighbors. And we want to highlight and bring light to what they're doing as well.
And I think this is just an incredible thing, because in such a short time to gather 100 different and from so different backgrounds and different services. I mean, we're talking about nonprofits and businesses and even churches and all of this. I mean, it's just incredible. How do you do this? How do you are able to relate to people, to find the common denominator for all?
I love people. I genuinely love, and I know that's the love of God that he's given to me to give away, but I genuinely love to connect and hear someone's story and find out about what makes them. I've had some wonderful experiences through the years to learn more about others' life experience has been different than mine. This group is really easy because almost everybody has some connection to the East Side. And so, being from the East Side here and growing up and having just some, great memories. I mean, I can talk about Eastland Mall. When I was in 7th grade, my mom would drop me off at my friend's house that lived nearby in 7th grade by myself, no cell phones. And I would walk from her house with my friend. We would walk to the mall. We would cross Hamilton Road and go to the movie theater. And this was like fine. Like this was not like a sketch thing to do. And there are other people who remember when this was a really, vibrant and active and alive. And there's lots of reasons why it's not right now, but we are wanting to be part of helping bring back just some life into our community.
I love that. There are people that care, that want to get engaged, that want to bring a difference. And really, that's what it's all about. And especially, with everything that is going on in the nation, so much division right now, political and everything else, we can find things that unites us. And for one of the things for T.U.R.N. is that the common denominator, as I heard it, is we want better for our city. We are interested in the people in the city and all of that. So I have a question for you. What is it that motivates you? How do you find motivation?
I love being effective and seeing change. I love seeing lives changed. I love seeing hope. During the darkest times for me for the stay-at-home order at the beginning when I was, distance learning unexpectedly with my 4 kids.
Wow.
I have a teaching degree. Like, this should not have been hard for me. There were some moments that were really challenging for me. And so, right now, one of the initiatives that we're working on is to help with learning extension centers. When I heard that a lot of the school districts were going online, I just started praying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? How can we help? Not everybody has the capacity, that I did to increase our Wi-Fi, come up with 4 devices. I didn't have food insecurity. And I wasn't struggling with, helping my kids learn.
Right.
I was able to say to my dad, who I love, sorry, Dad, right now I have to focus on your, educating your grandkids. I can work for you a little bit, but a lot of it has to go. Not everybody can say that to their employer.
Right.
I have a very generous and understanding employer. And my mom's really backing behind that too, going,
Yes.
to my dad, Bert, she really needs to raise those kids. And I'm like, thanks, Mom. So not everybody is in that position.
Right.
So my heart of compassion, for looking outward, how can we help? So one of the initiatives that we really transitioned into when I heard about these learning extension centers, which you guys are hosting one, you know what this is, to say to, students and parents, you need a breather, you need a minute, you need to drop your child off. We get it. I get it personally. I get that. Please bring your child, to our East Side LEC. Please find one near you if it's not convenient to come to us. Let caring, adults take, a minute so that you can go have some space. A lot of parents are, butting heads and struggling, and with maybe older teens. It's just not worth it. They're like, fine.
But see, this is something that I love, is that you guys just didn't talk about it. You guys actually did something.
Yeah.
You had an empty building that you weren't using.
That's right.
And you said, okay, we have the building. You found people with the same compassion, the same vision. And you said, okay, let's open an LEC.
That's right.
And you guys opened the East Side LEC that is now running right now.
That's right.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
And it's bringing hope and help to the kids on the East Side. So if there are families listening right now and you're in the East Side of Columbus and you need a place to go, you can learn more about that. You can reach out to us and we can give you information. Or you can bring your child to a safe place, get internet access, have adult supervision, and have food.
Yeah, we feed them.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you do this 5 days a week.
3 days.
3 days a week.
We're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 to 3:30.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the kids that can't, the schools are closed. They can't go to school.
Yeah.
They're at home looking at the same 4 walls all day long.
Yeah.
This is a great place to come. And I've seen the place, and it's beautiful. It has great lighting and windows, and you have everything you have.
We took over the old Honda East building. It's a showroom.
Yeah.
So it's like all
It's
windows.
beautiful.
It's so bright.
That's
it is
amazing.
really. It's
That's
a lot of
amazing.
fun.
Wow,
It's a lot of fun.
that's great. Now, so you have been successful in what you have done in the different areas that you have had the opportunity to serve. Not everybody is successful. Why are some of the reasons why people fail in life, I would say?
I think there's mindset is a huge thing. Like I said, I start every day in the Word of God. So I'm resetting my mind on a daily basis. Everybody experiences challenges and failures. We all have days that are like, that didn't go so well.
Yeah.
Either personally or professionally. There's regrets. I have gone through seasons of challenge and have had a lot of hurt and impact and have to take a step back and go, why isn't this working? Sometimes sometimes it's mindset, and sometimes there's challenge and there's opposition because you're not in the right lane. And you just got to shift lanes, and then you find, that things flourish. And that's, that can be a hard season to go through a transition like that. Sometimes it's learning to deal with, patience and recognizing, we're all developing and growing. One of my things that I talk about with my kids is I don't want them to peak too early. Sometimes I feel like when you see a young person who's excellent, the best, in whatever area it is, they may peak too early. For example, like a 10-year-old athlete.
Okay.
And then maybe it's like, okay, so they were the best soccer player on the field at 10, but then at 11 and 12 and 15, their peer group can surpass them. If they have too much identity in their in their success at a young age, it impacts their psychology. And so then they are seeking success in other areas. Maybe they're not able to develop in that area, but maybe they're going to take the shortcut to success. So maybe they become the class clown because they have success in that, and that masks the insecurity that they actually have over peaking too early. So I consistently talk with my kids about, about being well-rounded. I'm like, yeah, you're really, excellent, academics come to you really easily, or, you musically enjoy this or artistically this. But let's, this area over here is not something that comes as naturally to you. And because I want you to be well-rounded and I don't want you to peak in too early, I want you to develop this area too. So I think that those can also contribute to, that sense of failure. And we just always have to be developing and growing.
Yes.
I want to be 80 years old, still reading a book to gain information and to learn, right? I don't want to ever peak.
Wow, that's a great advice. Thank you so much for that. Well, we do have an audience, people watching us right now. And so if you have any questions, this is a good time.
Yeah.
You can send your questions. You can text us if you're in Zoom. You can send it, and we have people ready to take your questions and to hear from you. So let us know. Let us know what you have. So, Ashleigh, this is just amazing, the information. I mean, I feel like you also have done some psychology help here.
I read a lot.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. That's so good, and there's such a great feeling once you finish that book and you finish the book and oh wow, this was great. Is there any specific author, or is there any specific favorite book?
I really love C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
He's been a great author that I've enjoyed. Parenting, there's a lot of great parenting books that I've enjoyed that have helped me. I had great parents, and, when you're a kid growing up in a great home, you don't always know the why and understand, and then you become a young adult, and it's like, with my oldest, I didn't, even though I had an education degree, I just didn't feel like I knew all of the tricks and the tools to help him be successful with some of the things we were navigating with him. And so I just started reading a lot of parenting books, and that helped me a lot. I like history books. Right now I'm reading a lot about racial reconciliation.
Wow.
Just to learn in this space as well. When Helping Hurts is a book that I read and studied to help understand community development, asset-based community development. How do we go into this area and help without hurting?
Wow, that sounds good.
I love to read, so I could go on and on about books.
I've read C.S. Lewis. He's a favorite. He's brilliant mind.
Yeah.
So
Mere Christianity is an
amazing.
Excellent.
Yes.
Place to start if you want one C.S. Lewis after the Chronicles of Narnia, which are also amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so we have a question from someone in the audience, and they want to know, what was the first car you ever sold?
Oh, the first car I sold was this will count. An Acura Integra to my high school band teacher.
So you saw
not band, my choir teacher. Yeah.
So your choir teacher.
So I was in choir, and it was Mr. Orr. He needed a vehicle, and he knew that we had cars, and so I think that was my first car. I was in high school, awesome. So I kind of helped. I think it was an Integra. I think it was a white Integra, if I have that right.
Wow, you even remember the color and everything. That's amazing. Wow, that's fun. Do you have an idea how many cars you've sold?
No, because that wasn't I didn't do the paperwork. That was more me being involved in a sale. I helped sell a car this morning.
Really?
Sort of. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Because people will come and say, "Hey, I'm looking at a car," and I get them connected, and I'm not doing the same thing. Yeah. When I was at Lexus, the volume wasn't huge, but I loved it, and I was salesperson of the month my first month there. So.
Oh wow!
Apparently, I was good. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. So there are more questions coming. What is it like to work with family?
Working with family is a blessing, and it also has its challenges. Navigating the history that we have together, the familiarity that we have, and then also being in professional lanes. you know, and communicating to one another professionally. It's something that we're actively working on because we haven't been as good at it. We have let our family roles interfere with some of our professional roles as well. So I mean, I think that's probably one of the challenges. But I mean, it's also really great to have an understanding boss dad. I could bring, you know, the babies. I mean, when I had the boys when they were, you know, first little, and I had a little swing chair next to my desk at work, and you know, and I could take work home and kind of adjust schedules. So there's definitely some perks.
Wow. What are you most proud of?
Oh, most proud of, I would say my relationship with my husband and what we've worked through. He's a great guy, and I'm super proud of him and where he is right now professionally. And we will be married, I think 22 years.
Wow,
next
congratulations.
month. And we, you know, got married young, and it was the right thing to do, but it was also, you know, getting married young and you're starting off in life, it's hard, and you have to learn to grow together. And he's my favorite person in the world, and we have a great family, and it's not perfect, but I guess I'm really blessed by that. I don't know if that's the same thing as proud. Of course, my boys. Yeah. I'm super proud of my boys.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, here's a few other questions. What is your favorite part of the job you do now?
Connecting
Connecting
with people is so much fun.
I can attest you're good
love to connect and see, hey, you over here, do you know this person over here? And it's also really fun for me to learn about what other people are already doing. You know, I can see needs that are out there, and I know I don't have what it takes to fill those needs. And then to find out that somebody else has that same passion, or has a passion to do it with excellence. That's really exciting and super fun.
It's exciting to know that what was difficult for you, it's something so easy for somebody else. You're like, how do you do that? But that's knowing, it's all in the knowing and understanding, right? Relating. Okay. If you could go back in time and you could start all over again, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently if I could go back in time? I would probably work on conflict resolution skills.
Okay.
I think that there are some things that some situations that maybe went a direction that got a little heated, and I've since worked on, why did that go so poorly? This is an area I need to grow in. And I read through Fierce Conversations, Critical Conversations, a couple books that are helping specifically with, okay, when situations get like this, you know, how do you diffuse? Because I didn't have that skill in the past, and I would have benefited.
Wow.
I could have.
Well, I guess that also gives us the answer. What are some of the most difficult challenges you've had? And I think, well, that's always difficult, you know.
Yeah.
Conflict resolution, that's tough, because you're dealing with people, and people are people. And at the end of the day, people do what they want to do. What can you tell to someone who's looking into doing a career kind of like what you do? How can a young person, start going? What would they need to do?
Which track? What I'm doing right now?
Well, let's do what you're doing right now. Let's do the HR. And those two.
I say for what I'm doing right now, really community focused. For me, it's faith driven. So really, you know, to go down that track, it's waiting on the Lord and listening to Him. Early on in this journey, He spoke a verse out of the Bible that not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. And that really gives me a lot of peace. So having that anchor to hold on to when I feel like that anxiety, like, well, there's so much to do and there's so many problems, and it's just like, okay, sister, it's not about you. Calm your jets. Like, you know, you're just lucky enough to be part of this really fun thing. So I would say that. And then, you know, to get into, you know, HR, there's great certifications that, you know, people can pursue. having a business degree, communications degree, certification, something like that would be really helpful. And there's a lot of great companies that hire entry level HR people and then put them on tracks. My particular, not everybody can get into a family business if their family doesn't have a business. So that's a unique way, that I was able to get into it. But I have seen a lot of companies that are doing some really great investing in people in HR. And there's a lot of publications out there that people can read if that's an area that they're interested in. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. In the area of human resources, was there anything particular that skill that you think a person needs to have? Because human resources it's in the name. It's human, and you're going to be dealing with a lot of humans.
Yeah. Wisdom and discernment are really helpful.
Okay.
If you can have that insight, of course you have to have good communication skills, and you have to be professional and follow up and deliver what you say you're going to.
Yeah.
But being able to see past the mask. And with an employee in front of you and they're presenting, maybe they're in crisis, maybe they're not in crisis, maybe they're, being subpar and they're trying to mask their crisis right now, or their inadequacies with, well, let me tell you my sob story. And, and sometimes the stories are, heart moving, and an essential function of your job is you still be here. So maybe this isn't the right position. So also having that toughness for having conversations that are unpleasant and sometimes
and that's part of the HR work, right?
Yeah. It's not fun to hold people accountable.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not fun. But
but it's necessary.
It is.
And we all need that.
And
that
the individual benefits from it in the long run. We're not doing anybody any favors if we just allow them to get by with subbar behavior, because then it's going to affect the whole team, right?
Right.
Well, they get to show up late, and we have to do all the same work, and it just morale gets impacted, productivity gets impacted. You're not able to deliver what you've promised to deliver if we're not bringing our A game.
It affects everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of questions coming in. I don't think I'm going to have time to get through all of them.
Okay.
Here's another question. Which of your careers did you enjoy the most?
Oh, definitely what I'm doing now.
Wow.
I'm I love being a mom, but that's not ever going to stop. So yeah, definitely what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
It's super. I say all the time, this is so life-giving to really connect to the community and to spread words of hope. When I'm, talking to community leaders who feel unsupported and say, we care and we want to support you. We're not sure what that pathway looks like right now, but let's have a conversation and let's engage and let's see and listen and pray a lot about, where we're going.
So this is what you're doing today. You're meeting daily with different leaders all the time.
Yeah. And there's some really fun, exciting things that are coming down the pipeline that I can't wait to see happen.
Yeah. Wow. The time is flying by. We only have a couple of minutes left, but I want to give you some time to give a message to the young people or to the community as well.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell them today, especially if they're struggling, if they feel like they're stuck on a job or they're stuck without a job or they're stuck in school?
Yeah.
What would your message be to them?
I would really want to convey hope that you don't have to be stuck where you are. There's always, every day is new. If you look out and you look up and you see a beautiful sunrise or a beautiful sunset, there is beauty around. And, again, that goes back to that mindset, looking up and looking out, getting outside of yourself and, a moment of despair. If you're unhappy in a position that you're in right now, then, maybe it's time to look around. If you've looked around and you've not been able to find something, and this is what's, providing for you and for your family right now, seek to be content in that. And in your free time, read something, access some information, find an online certification that you can take.
Yes.
Connect with the CLC Works.
That's right. CLC. Good. Thank you for the plug.
To connect, because there's going to be more opportunities the more you add, to yourself. to offer to the world. You know, when you've approached somebody and you've said, hey, I have this to offer, and they go, yeah, that's not enough. That's not a summary of who you are as a person. That may just be that you're not fully equipped for what is needed today. If that's something you're still passionate about and you want to get there, then go back again. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Awesome. Ashleigh, you have given us so much, and I really thank you. And for our audience, and Ashleigh mentioned it, and I want to mention it to you as well. CLC is offering 4 different types of certificates. You can get your certificate in customer service, in video cameras, in photography, fit programs with physical activities, and with, I even forgot the one.
Did you say the physical? You said the physical.
Yeah, I said the physical.
I wasn't paying attention.
Office administration. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. So you can have certificates. I'm a mess. In all these 4 different areas at CLC. But Ashleigh, I can't thank you enough. I know you're busy, and you gave up your time to come and to let us hear a little bit about you, to get to know you, and to hear what you're doing. And thank you so much for what you're doing, and keep on doing it.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate what you all are doing. We're so excited to have you in the neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us in this episode of A Walk in My Shoes. We'll see you next Wednesday for a very special program. We have a very special guest. I think it's going to be fun. You don't want to miss it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.